Welcome to the stream, everybody. This time I actually started and I'm ready to go. I know, a little professionalism this time. Hitting record in 3, 2, 1.
You're listening to Direct Sports Daily, your source for a fresh new take on all the latest headlines from the world of sports. And now, here's your host, George Bennett.
Welcome to the show, everybody. Today's April 20th, 2017. And today, I got to go off on a little bit of a rant on some stuff I was seeing around various social medias and things like that. Just get my feelings out about something a little bit. So I was looking through the Aaron Hernandez, some of the posts about him on Instagram, things of that nature, the Facebooks, the Twitters, And I made the huge mistake, as one tends to do sometimes, and went through and read the comments. And I saw some pretty disgusting things. One was that Aaron Hernandez committed 2 crimes, murder and playing for the Patriots. It's like, have people forgotten the concept of too soon already? Like, the man literally just died. Like, can we please just sort of, as a society, mourn the fact that we lost someone who, admittedly, was a convicted felon, but at the same time was once a human being at the end of the day. He was somebody who was loved by his family, and they're all grieving, and like the last thing they need right now is to see stuff like this. I think the entire Hernandez family, they had already lost him. He was going to be incarcerated for the rest of his life, and now like they're not even going to get occasional visits with him or anything of that nature. They have no way of keeping in touch with him. People need to understand, like, I'm not really so much upset for Aaron Hernandez himself. Like, he did this to himself. Everything that came about in his life and his subsequent death was all on him. I'm more of coming from the side of we have to sort of have respect for the fact that his family didn't murder people. Like, his 4-year-old daughter, she didn't murder those people. She didn't commit suicide, but her father did. And that's something she's going to have to live with for the rest of her life. And just the insensitivity some people are showing on this issue is just phenomenal. People are asking the question, why is anybody upset that he died? He was a murderer. It's like, yeah, but he was also a father, a son. He was engaged. It's like, this affects more people than just him. No one dies and it just only affects that person. There's a mother who has to bury her son. There's a girl who has to grow up without a father. This is tragic. And for someone who was achieving so much in life, and for that to just fall off, like, that's never something you want to see. I'm not rooting for anybody in the NFL, regardless of what team they're affiliated with, for them to be popped for a homicide and taken out of the game entirely and then driven to such depression they commit suicide. And I don't think anyone should. And it's mostly my fault. I shouldn't be looking at things like this, because these people exist. These people with these just sad, pathetic lives who have to take it out in internet comment sections, and it's really just terrible. But speaking of death and moving on to life, That's as good of a transition I can come up with. Serena Williams is apparently pregnant, according to her representatives. I think she posted something on Snapchat saying she was about 20 weeks along. So she's out there winning Grand Slams and whatnot while with child. So that's pretty impressive. Congratulations to Serena Williams and her husband, the guy who did something with Reddit or something like that. I can't remember. One of those social media sites, I want to say. Let me just look that up. What's this guy? Alex Ohanian. Oh, yeah, the Reddit co-founder. Okay. Yeah, I was right. So, congratulations to them. It's going to be weird seeing Serena Williams finally, settle down and start a family. Obviously, she's probably not going to be at Wimbledon or anything like that this year, so maybe everyone else has a chance in one of these Grand Slams. Excuse me. But some other light stories out there. Oklahoma State. Oh, God. Stop being so petty. Gosh, the pettiness is ridiculous within Oklahoma State right now. So they had Alamo Bowl rings printed up. Which I didn't realize, you got rings for winning the Alamo Bowl, but whatever. They got rings printed up or made up or whatever. I don't know what the proper verbiage for that is. But they had them engraved with the mark 11-2, even though Oklahoma State was definitely 11-3. Or sorry, 10-3. Because they did, in fact, lose to Central Michigan, but Mike Gundy, being the petty man that he is, it was. I remember it being a controversial finish. I don't remember exactly what happened, but I remember them losing on some last second play that shouldn't have happened or whatever. I don't really care. I'm not gonna go back and look into what happened, but they lost at the end of the day. They went 10-3. At the end of the day, you look up at the scoreboard, the other team had more points. And for me personally, I sit there and I watched Michigan lose to Ohio State. And I will swear till the day I die, and probably beyond, that JT Barrett was short on fourth down and that game should have ended right then and there. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to say Michigan won that game. They lost. The refs screwed it up big time. We got hosed tremendously, but we lost. Oklahoma State, you lost. Regardless of what else happens, you lost. It's Armando Galarraga threw a perfect game, but at the end of the day, the guy missed the call. He didn't get the perfect game. I could go through tons of scenarios like this just with teams that I root for. They go on for days. Brandon Inge got hit by that pitch in game 163 against the Minnesota Twins. That should have sent the Tigers to the playoffs. The refs didn't know the rule on Monday Night Football when the Lions played the Seattle Seahawks. And the ball got kicked out of the back of the end zone. The refs just straight up didn't know the rule. I'm not going to go back and say, Tigers made the playoffs that year, or the Lions won that Monday Night Football game. It's come on. Get over it already. It's like, oh, as far as I'm concerned, Michigan made the playoffs last year because they beat Ohio State. Like, come on. Get out of here with that nonsense. So, apparently, more talk about this. Excuse me. Dana White's talking about a huge payday for Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather. Apparently, Conor McGregor will make like $75 million, and Floyd Mayweather will make over $100. At least that's what Dana White projects for their fight. That I'll believe will happen when I'm watching it. But I just don't know. It better not disappoint me in the way Mayweather-Pacquiao did, because that was one of the most disappointing sporting events of the century. Watching the two of them just dance around, but that's Floyd's style. That's how he wins. I definitely don't want to see these two dance around the ring the way those two did for like 13 rounds. But at the end of the day, I don't know. Floyd Mayweather, he may not even go for this. Like, I feel like he doesn't take fights unless he's making like twice as much as the other guy involved. So we'll see. But on to the big story of the day. Or the big stories of the day. Like, let's just talk some NHL playoffs, shall we? Sorry, I just can't shake this cough for whatever reason. And this morning is especially bad. But powering through. The Ducks beat the Flames, so they get the sweep in that series. Minnesota finally decides to show up in St. Louis, so they're only down 3-1. They're not coming back. Neither is neither is Boston, because Ottawa leads them 3-1. So, and the American hero that is TJ Oshie comes through in the clutch for the Capitals. And they end up beating Toronto 5-4. That thing's headed back to D.C. all tied up at 2. So, the best team throughout the regular season. Looks like they saved themselves from going down into a big 3-1 hole. Good to see that. You know, they were my pick to win it all, and since I had the Blackhawks coming out of the West, I was gonna look real stupid if both those teams ended up out in the first round. So hopefully the Capitals can get it done. Thinking about it right now, TJ Oshie may be my favorite player in the NHL after Dylan Larkin, of course. But, yeah, he might very well be probably my second favorite player in the NHL. So since the Wings aren't in the playoffs, I guess I'm pulling for the Caps. But also Ovechkin, he's been around so long and he's been such a great player. I want to see him actually have some postseason success for once in his life. I don't know. But that's what's going on in the NHL. Moving on to the NBA. Last night, just an absolute classic in Houston. Probably one of the more exciting first round playoff games you'll see between OKC and Houston. I actually watched this one. I'm making it a point with these playoff games that unless the matchup's good, I'm not going to watch it. I'm just going to take a look at the box scores and talk about it. But I refuse just... Here's the thing we have to do as fans. It's an obligation for us as fans. We can't watch bad games. We have to refuse at some point if the product isn't good. Like watching, like take for example, let's talk about this real quick. Golden State, they sit like 3 players and beat Portland by almost 30 last night. I'm not watching that. And the NBA needs to know that we're not going to watch that. Otherwise, we're still going to be subjected to that garbage. Like, as long as we keep watching, what incentive do they have to change, like, how they do things? Like, and we have to, on that same note, make sure we tune into games like this between Oklahoma City and Houston in order to show, hey, this is what we want, this is what we don't want. Get this garbage out of here and bring us more of this. So I just had to make that quick point real quick. It's sort of a vote with your viewership kind of thing. It's like this isn't so much of a democracy in what comes on, what games the NBA televises where or plays what or what have you. It's a dictatorship in the sense that we are the dictators. We tell the NBA what we want to see and what we don't want to see by watching or not watching. And if I'm going through and just watching every game just to be watching NBA basketball, I'm doing a disservice to everyone who wants to see quality play out there. But in this game, Russell Westbrook, just a performance for the ages. Not the most efficient night by him, I'll say, but puts up 51, 13 assists, and 10 rebounds. Yeah, in a loss. I tweeted out yesterday, it was probably the greatest playoff performance in a loss I've ever seen. I think it's easily the best I've ever seen, but maybe the greatest of all time. That's the thing. You don't remember the games guys lose, so it's hard to say. You'd have to get have a whole stats and research team to figure that out, but. So, the consistent theme for Houston in this game was they just have too many weapons. It's like I tweeted it out like that Houston has too many weapons, and literally right after I posted it, Reggie Miller makes that comment as he's calling the game. It's insane. You get 22 from Eric Gordon off the bench, 21 from Lou Williams off the bench. That had to be the deal of the century right there, picking up Lou Williams. He fits into that system so well. So well. It's insane. You got James Harden, was just James Harden. 35 points, 8 assists, 4 rebounds. I mean, wasn't sniffing a triple-double, but hey. And then it's like, okay, if those guys are off, you still got guys like Ryan Anderson and Trevor Ariza who could potentially go off. They had pretty weak games in this one. Ryan Anderson goes 0 for 7 for 3. That's not going to happen every day. And to put this whole thing in perspective, OKC led by as many as 15, I think, like in the third quarter. So this was, by all measures, dominating performance early on by OKC. Excuse me. But in the fourth quarter, they just kind of fell apart. I think at one point, Russell Westbrook was shooting like 2 of 13 in the fourth. There was a weird play on an out of bounds in which I think I can't remember who threw it in, but I think Nene touched it. It went into the backcourt, and then Russell Westbrook retrieved it and put up a 3 from deep and hit it, and that was a weird play. But yeah, I'm gonna probably tune in to every single game of this series because it's actually compelling. I can't say that for the other ones. I mean, maybe I'll watch a little in Toronto and Milwaukee, but outside of that, it's the whole thing I got into the other day where I said the first round's like extremely pointless in the NBA. It's rare you get a matchup like this where it's like you get two MVP candidates going up against each other, but I think it's fairly clear to anyone who knows basketball, like OKC can't run with Houston. When you get an effort like this out of Russell Westbrook and you still come up short, it's like he can't play better. I guess he could shoot better, but he goes 17 to 43 in this one, so it took him a lot to get to that 51, but he sat out 7 minutes in this game, and it was not pretty when he came out of the game. On the other side, when James Harden came out of the game, you saw Lou Williams and Eric Gordon just take over. There's no one like that on the Thunder roster that can do that, and also their system doesn't allow for it as much as Houston's does. Sorry. But I'm just looking at some of the people who played in this game for the Thunder. It looks like Billy Donovan's just throwing stuff at the corkboard hoping something sticks, because you got Sabonis who got some action out there. He's a rookie. Obviously, the moment was too big for him. He got 3 fouls in 2 minutes, and just not a good performance by him. You got a Abrines who played 4 minutes, put up 1 shot, missed it, and this Cantor, you gotta wonder, like, is he still hurt? Why isn't he being utilized a little more? I know Reggie Miller brought up the point at several points in the game, and being a shooter himself, obviously he's going to favor shooters, but he kept speaking about Doug McDermott and how maybe you should get him in the game more, just to stretch the floor a bit. I think maybe at this point it might be time. I like the way Roberson played. Like he had 3 blocks in this one. Maybe you get more of a rotation where Doug McDermott's playing a little more. Maybe I'd hate to take Taj Gibson out of the game, but it doesn't seem to be helping you. Like this really strong rebounding lineup. I mean, they were plus 11 in rebounding, so they got back to their bread and butter, and that's why this game was close. But at the end of the day, you shot 23% from 3, and the Rockets shot 38. So you're not really gaining anything from that rebound, like just destroying the boards. Clearly, it's not winning you the game. It's like you need some outside shooting. Otherwise, Russ has no one to kick it to out there. And Victor Oladipo, he 1 for 7 from 3, 11 points in this one, only 4 of 14 from the field. I will say right now, like, I'm just looking at Victor Oladipo, long term, he does not seem like he could even be the 3rd piece of a championship team. Excuse me. And he's being called upon to be the 2nd piece of this team. I don't think he's even a number 4 guy on a championship roster. maybe if you have a solid big three and he's that fourth guy, you can get something done. But nah, man. Victor Oladipo just coming up so small right now in these playoffs, and I will. Granted, this is his first time in the playoffs because he was just stuck on the Magic for so long. He's probably used to golfing by this time of year, but 1 for 7 from 3. 1 for 7. That's not going to get it done. Yeah. I didn't expect this series. I thought the series would go 5. I thought Russ would manage to pull out one of these, but if he can't, given the way he played last night, I don't know if he will be able to, but we'll see. I think Thunder probably take game 3 in this one, but I'm not too confident in that pick. And I think that'll be the only game they take. But let's look at some box scores of the other games. Obviously, I didn't watch the Hawks and the Wizards because it's on stupid NBA TV. Like, who gets that? If you can't even, have all of your first-round playoff games on, major networks, maybe that means you just have too many playoff games. I'm just saying. So Paul Millsap comes up big in this one. But it's just not enough. Dennis Schroeder might actually be, legit. Not with that 1 for 8 from the 3-point line, but, he was getting it done outside of shooting. outside of shooting, yeah. Tim Hardaway Jr. These guys just, they're just overachievers. Everyone on this roster is just, except for Dwight Howard, who's, the personification of underachieving. But everyone else, Tim Hardaway Jr., he's playing a lot better than he actually is. Dennis Schroeder's playing a lot better than he actually is. Paul Millsap. All these guys are just extreme overachievers. And then there's Dwight Howard. 6.7 rebounds in 20 minutes. Kobe did a number on Dwight Howard. He just broke that man's spirit. He hasn't been good ever since. What happened to Dwight Howard? It's Stan Van Gundy was right the entire time. We all thought it was just Stan Van Gundy being so crazy old man, his brother Jeff, but Jesus, Stan Van Gundy was right this entire time. The Van Gundys they know their basketball. I'll give them that. They are crazy, but they know their basketball. And Jesus, Dwight Howard just trash, just absolute trash. And thanks, Kobe. Thanks for revealing that to all of us. Excuse me. John Wall and Bradley Beal both go off in this one. 32 and 31 respectively. John Wall, only 9 assists, man. What are you doing with your life? Get it together. But nice little double-double by Marchand Gortat, 14-10. What is there to say? Wizards win this one. I said it before. I think this could be that rare instance we see a 4-seed sweep a 5. And it looks like we're trending that way. Brandon Jennings, I think, is a great piece they added off the bench to makes it so that they don't have to play Trey Burke and his as much of a defensive liability as he is. Even though Brandon Jennings has never really been known for his defense, he's certainly an upgrade over Trey Burke, but he provided some quality minutes. 10, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Bojan Bogdanovic, nice game out of him off the bench. This is a team that will probably, given the way the Celtics are playing, the Wizards will probably be in the Eastern Conference Finals. So this might be a team we need to start paying more attention to. A quieter night out of Otto Porter Jr. and Marcus Morris, but wasn't really needed when you get performances by all these guys. But yeah, a game also happened with the Warriors. I touched on it briefly. They win by 29. I guess we got to talk about this. I guess. I don't know. Yeah, so a bunch of guys didn't play in this one. Kevin Durant, Sean Livingston. Somebody else didn't play. Somebody not as important, but for you to win by almost 30 without KD, like that's a more interesting question. Could the Warriors win the West without Kevin Durant? It'd be interesting to see them do it or try it, but you got, Ian Clark off the bench, putting up 13. JaVale McGee has 15 in this one. Wonder if he had any Shaqtin' clips last night. That would actually make this somewhat interesting. 19 from the Chef, 16 from Clay. Like, nobody even really went off in this game. It was just everybody having a pretty good day. Steph led the way at 19 points. It's just, look at this. Draymond Green, 6. Zaza Pachulia, 10. McCaw, I don't even know who that is. He had 9. Clay, 16. David West, 8. McAdoo, 7. Like, the Trailblazers, like, this must have been the most boring game ever. Like, just looking at the box score. Glad I didn't watch it. I hope none of you out there did. I hope all of you had better things to do. Like, I don't know, sleep. Because 10:30, like, on a weeknight, I can't be staying up that late, man. I'm too old for that nonsense. Oh, Shabazz Napier, 10 points. Shabazz Napier sighting. Forgot he was even a thing. Yeah, man. Remember him back in UConn? Yeah, neither do I. So, that's about going to wrap it up. Let's see if there's any more like little stories out there we can touch on briefly. Apparently, Osweiler is going to compete for the starting job with the Browns. Like, is anything being done about his contract? Like, is he still just making bank? Man. What are the Browns doing? Oh, Gronk. I didn't even talk about Gronk, did I? Oh, yeah. Gronk's the man. And that'll wrap it up. This has been another episode of Direct Sports Daily. I want to thank everyone for watching, listening. But I got to wrap this up and get out of here. See you tomorrow with more Direct Sports Daily.
This has been another episode of Direct Sports Daily. Thanks for listening. And to keep up with the show, follow us on Twitter at the DSD Podcast. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher Radio, or visit our website, www.directsportsdaily.com.
Yes, Gronk is the man. Put him in the White House, why don't you?